Can I ask our lovely speakers, please come join us down at the front. This is not a formal thing, but I thought since we're all here and we've got a few minutes, wow, lights, forgotten about those. Since hopefully you can pause before getting your glasses recharged, I thought we'd take a little time to 5-10 minutes. Just talk about, we've seen some lovely work. We've got a whole range of people here who've got great experience in film, but also, I think as Alex made a point, in storytelling. Norwich has a reputation for creativity, going back to the UEA's creative writing school. It recently featured in some government list of creative clusters around the country, which is always good. Anything like that is always good to see when they recognise that we exist. And the more we can do to raise that profile is good for us. So I thought maybe you could, we'd asked the panel what they thought made Norwich a creative city, what helps make it a creative city, and what we could do collectively to make it a better creative city. How do we nurture creativity? And just talk through some of those ideas, but also maybe take some questions from the audience about this subject. And if anyone's got any particular thoughts, then please do. So I'm going to throw it open. First of all, any questions? Anyone got a pressing thought on creativity and creativity in the city? I can see Tom here looking expectant and thoughtful, which is always good. Someone at the back. Who's that at the back?
Molly.
Molly, oh hi Molly. Oh yes, can I just say, Molly and Andy have also brought chocolate brownies, so. Molly's starting business, and so you can pick up some of her cards outside. Molly, your question about
sorry, I can't remember your name, but I was just wondering for the short Norwich quiz,
yes.
how did you choose the people that you chose to focus on?
Actually, Visit Norwich did point us in the direction of people, and they've so far they've smashed it out of the park, to coin a phrase. However, sometimes our job is to say no. And the 5th film we've done, actually, they gave us somebody, and everything seemed fine. We did it through the usual process, which is where we have them in the office for the sort of an interview, just an audio interview. So we just take the audio interview and in really simplistic terms, plop it over some nice visuals. And she wasn't good enough, basically. She just talked too generically. There wasn't a story there, just to harp on about it a bit more, and we didn't feel she was strong enough. So we went back into them and said, I'm sorry you sorted someone out, but I just don't think it's gonna let the rest of the series down. So again, we've built up a rapport with them now. They trust us, so they said, okay, well you guys can have a think, and we've got Philip Brown on board now, because this is about shopping and about the lanes, about the independent fashion scene. So we've now got someone who's very experienced and able to talk with some authority about that side of things, rather than just we've got a Primark, and we did not want it to go down that route, and that's where it's heading. So we had to steer the ship away from the rocks. Yes, but other than that, they've been great, and even the final one is actually called The Visitor. They've actually opened out a competition to travel bloggers around the UK. Got lots of prizes and stuff for staying over for the weekend, and lots of VIP treatments. And with the small caveat that you have to be in the film, we're being involved in that casting process. So again, that's a good idea of bringing someone from a genuine outsider's perspective, and I think we're going to actually be quite interested to hear their thoughts as somebody coming to Norwich, and that's going to be in the run-up to Christmas as well. So yeah, I don't know how they've done it, but so far, been really good.
My name is from Sandler Training. I'm just really interested because I think I saw, is it the County Council of investing in some specialist brand agency that does identity for places to come and, say, invest in Norfolk to businesses.
Yeah.
You guys all represent really specifically local, the place. And can somebody from outside come in and do that for us? Because I was surprised they hadn't got a local firm to do it, given who we've got here already.
I can answer part of that. It's for very specialist audiences, for the property sector. So
Yeah.
they're targeting, there's a big conference called Midham,
Yeah.
So that it's designed specifically for.
I've been to
commercial
MIPIM.
property.
It's a huge investment conference,
Yeah.
but I don't see that the audience at MIPIM is any different. They're real estate investors.
No, sorry, I was just putting it in
Yeah.
context of what it was,
Yeah.
what they're focused.
Yeah, it's not
on.
B2C, but it's business
Yeah.
to business. But we have people who can do it, and I was just fascinated they went for this outside agency, not people of our place.
Do you want to take that?
I think this is something we were talking about the other day. Is just then if we're going to work on it, there needs to be built an awareness of what is in here from people who are outside of Norwich. I think everyone in Norwich knows what's on offer. I don't know how true this is, but I feel like with some people that there isn't people who aren't from Norwich and don't live in Norwich don't understand who's working here and what they can offer for that kind of thing and more.
Well, I can vouch for that. I moved here 2 months ago and then kind of Googled film production companies in Norwich, hoping there'd be one or two, and then found about 20, including these guys, and was like, oh, there's a lot here, and I didn't realise. So I think it's very common that people don't know what's here.
Is there a directory
For
Not
what?
that.
of film or production companies in Norwich?
Not one from Norwich.
Not that I found.
Well,
There's a start of one, but it's only on Twitter. It's on the Hot Sauce Twitter account. I've started a list, as I do.
Okay.
But it's a very good question. And Ermin's question is very pertinent too, because I've found this not just in the creative sector, but in the tech sector, and I know Tom here will know this, that there is this, I don't know what it is, but we don't talk about ourselves enough in our sectors to people outside our sectors. So the tech sector, we've got a thriving tech sector. It's listed by Tech City as one of the tech clusters across the country, one of 21. Now everyone in the tech sector sort of knows that. But when you talk to people outside tech sector, you go, what? Tech? Do we have tech here? Yeah, what, a web developer or whatever? Well, actually, it's considerably more than that, and a huge amount of talent. And I think it's the same with the creative sector, that people in the film sector know they exist, but there isn't a collective voice to get out there. I mean, it's something Hot Sauce tries to do. But
Well, this is what we were discussing at the planning meeting when we first come up with the idea for this panel. It came out of it completely by mistake. What you just suggested there is when was it Creative East, when they went to put a few years ago, there was nothing there or here, sorry, for people like us. And we all know, because we represent production companies in the area, we all know the talent and the creativity that is here in Norwich. It's quite an incestuous place because we all know each other and we all support each other. But for people coming out, from outside of the area, they've got no idea. And I mean, you look at there's Hollywood and kind of independent and big budgeted films that are being made in North Norfolk, in Suffolk, in Norfolk, and you see the crew, and I always look up and down like, okay, well, where's the local crew? Where's the local guys that are making their living, making films day in, day out on the crew? Where are they? They're not represented. You might get the occasional grip or an assistant or something like that, but other than that, I know there's a bunch of talented people in Norwich, and I think what we're lacking is what you just said, and it's what we were discussing in the planning meeting. I think we need some sort of collective voice, some sort of collective vehicle that enables us to all basically say, right, we're here. This is what we're all good at. We've got the commercial sector there. We've got film festivals. We've got documentaries. We've got narrative. We've got all of that element covered, okay? And we've got some great universities that are pumping out new talent every single year. And I think you're completely right. Is that we're not? I don't think we're doing a good enough job of telling the rest of the country, nay, the world, that we're here and we're good at what we do. So I think that collective voice is missing. I don't know if it means like some sort of collective group, or an East Anglia or a Norwich or Norfolk collective, or some sort of creative collective that is all of us collected, so that we can all talk about one another for the greater good, really, of the area, for Creative Norwich.
I think it's something, I do think this is important, and it's very interesting because Ben stood up at the beginning and mentioned this creative sectors group that's run by John Last, which is sort of sponsored by the left. Now, again, it's a surprise to me because I happen to sit on a sector group that's all to do with the digital technology sector. and it's actually run by John Luss. But I don't recall in the 5-6 meetings. You go to the same meeting. We're going now nearly 2 years. It's quarterly, so we've had I think 6-7 meetings with Newer. Bunch of us turn up and we talk about the tech sector, and I don't think once, as John Luss said, by the way, do you know we do the same thing in the creative sector? Do you know what's to be involved? Or maybe we could share the creative with the tech and the tech with the creative. There's cross-fertilisation seems to be like. Sorry, yes, I don't know your name.
Mark Greenwood. Yeah, I'm a fairly recent arrival in Norfolk. Never really having been here before. Set up a marketing company, and I do think one of the things that I've learned about this area, and it's not just the creative side of things or the tech side of things. I think it applies to everybody. I think it seems that a characteristic of this area is they're very good at hiding their light under a bushel, and it applies. I'm constantly surprised at the companies I find in all sorts of sectors. Brilliant world-class companies hiding behind gates and down drives and in industrial estates. So I think I agree with what you say. Absolutely, you know, that without collective action, nothing's going to happen. But maybe it applies wider than just the people, the sectors in this room.
Yeah, I do feel a lot of companies don't widen their horizons enough and will see themselves as perhaps a company serving the county or maybe Norfolk and Suffolk. I mean, we 100% see ourselves as a company, a nationally or internationally competitive company. We just happen to be based, we happen to enjoy where we're based, and we, I think, can prove you can be based here and still make a living out of it. You know, yeah, our clients are based all around the world, and it doesn't matter whether they're here. So, you know, sometimes we can be going into areas and pinching work from local people. I mean, a lot of the stuff we do all over the UK, including for the sort of stuff in the tourism sector, yeah, we literally, so it's yeah, I think it really is having the confidence as well to see ourselves as very much engaged with other local communities. And, you know, from the very start, we've always tried to foster links with companies in Cambridge, for instance, and try to maybe start small if you're not of a size where you can be gallivanting all over the country, but make sort of a concerted effort and a sort of logical, intelligent moves as to where you should be looking next to help plug into the rest of the country.
I think that's an attitude thing, isn't it? You went out and said, well, you know, the world is where we operate. We just happen to be based here.
Yeah, yeah. That's where how more people should see themselves.
Yeah.
I feel exactly the same. I make kind of different films to what Alex does, but I mean, you just see the film that Alex made. There's no doubt about it. It's a documentary, fascinating documentary. But the same is there's an airport here in Norwich. There's a great creative sector. I love Norwich. I want to stay in Norwich. I've never seen the need to move away to a London or a Birmingham or a Manchester or further afield. I'm proud of my heritage and I'm proud of my creative roots in Norwich, and I want to kind of foster and just help to plant seeds for the future of that. So I think we're ready.
And Craig, you the film festival, you get films from around the world? Or?
Absolutely, we get a high content of international films, national films, and then surprisingly not many from Norfolk, which is a bit weird, really.
You've got one.
Yes, we've got one, Josh. Thank you. Yeah, we don't get that many, but in terms of international submissions, I think this year we've probably had about maybe 80 submissions from around the world, which is great. So people are aware of the festival, and I think we've been able to raise our profile through things such as social media. That's kind of our key for shouting things out to get kind of international submissions, and then a lot from the UK.
Tom, can I put you on the spot here, because you run a business that's based here, but it's global.
Yeah.
You serve clients in the Far East, in America, I think. Do you have a particular view? What is it we do wrong, or what could we do right to?
No, I don't. But I think I'd probably. But I can. I'm trying to. As you said, I think there's always this sort of sense of feeling sort of slightly unwelcome in your own town, or you're slightly underloved or under-supported. And I don't even know from whom one is looking for, but it's like, and especially if you're doing it on a commercial basis, right? It's got to be good and it's got to sell, right? So that's the first and acid test. But I don't think we haven't yet really cracked this idea of collective representation, both in the city the city and area that we work in, and how we project ourselves onto an international stage. So everyone kind of makes their own way, right? But Yeah, no, I don't have an answer. I can only tell a story about what we do as a company, but I don't know how relevant it is to anybody else, you know.
But was it an attitudinal thing when you set up Foolproof? Did you just say, well, we'll just go where the business is and just have to be based in Norwich? Is that?
Yeah,
or-
that is pretty much. I mean, it's pretty much what you guys that you just described. Like, this is where we are, but it doesn't really matter. There is no indication of whether we're any good or not.
Yeah.
We'll find that out. Well, I want to ask a question though.
Go
It's
on.
not about business. It was really. Would anyone tell a story about? So, because it's like a really fucking hard way to make a living, like it strikes me. So, I just can anyone tell a story about the kind of that moment where you say that is what I'm going to do? Like, nevertheless, where was the tipping point where you just decided, despite the indifference of the world and like how hard it is, like why? Because again, you guys are talking about how you have to pour so much of your attention, time, and effort and love into something. Whether it's for yourself or on a commercial basis. Why?
I mean,
why
I'll
do it?
mention about the film festival. We're all volunteers at the festival, and as I mentioned earlier, we received 400 submissions this year, and that is a lot of time to put into viewing. And that's because we love short films, and we love being able to have that opportunity to showcase them to Norwich by selecting the best ones. But yeah, it's hard work because we have to go out and try and raise money through either submissions, through putting in grants, bid applications. This year we created ourselves a small charity so that we can try and build stronger foundations, and we're going to put our charity application in at the end of the month. But yeah, lots of work, lots of hard work, but that's just because we really enjoy film, and it's great that we can showcase, if we do get some more Norwich ones, Norwich films and also international films and national films. And like I said, the quality is amazing for what we get through. It's fantastic being able to selfishly be the first people to watch it, but then show them to the rest of the city.
I suppose picking up your point about sort of why you do things and sort of the love of it. I suppose I used to go here, I used to do fine art, and I think you find very quickly that is a passion. Not necessarily. It's very tough for it to be a career and to make money, and so I quickly found that I wanted to be someone that facilitated or helped other people put their work into sort of the public domain. So I've worked in galleries, I've sort of worked a lot in Norwich. I've worked for Outpost, which again I think filters into the whole idea that I think contemporary art scene in Norwich is picking up on, where a lot of the galleries, institutions, so the City Council are really good at doing that. They're getting everyone flowing the same way, so you might have seen there's like an Art in Norwich booklet circulating around, and I feel like that's getting a very niche scene, getting more exposure because they're all pulling in the same direction. Maybe that's something we could apply to film, not necessarily in this publication, but in the way that we're working in flowing in sort of one direction. Because I think that's key, because Norwich is a relatively small city, and someone said incestuous, but not necessarily in a bad way. But I feel like that cross-pollination is really key. Maybe that's something we can also learn and filter through. So
I think for me, I never had a tipping point of getting into film. I never was at a junction where I was like, okay, do I want to be a filmmaker or do I want to sort of work behind a desk? It's just all I ever did, and I didn't even realise that's what I was doing all the time until someone sort of pointed it out for me. I'd sort of tell friends, I watch this film, they're like, do you watch a film a day? And I was like, yeah, don't you? I didn't realise that. And I teach, and I love teaching, but again, that's film, so I've never had anything else to sort of go by. I don't know. I hope it doesn't make me sound close-minded, but it's all I want to do. I can see myself doing anything else, I think.
I had kind of the opposite. I did my degree, I did an undergraduate, and then I did a master's, and I did it in climate science, which is brilliantly interesting. But the whole time I was making films and like doing other things, and I kind of reached a stage where I was like, this is great. A lot of my friends work very intense consultancy jobs in London, and they earn a lot of money, and it's all great, but I never enjoyed consulting or anything like that. I was just kind of like, I much prefer making films, so why am I not just going to try and do that? And that's kind of how I ended up sat here.
I think from my own perspective, and I don't know, I think there's a lot of producers and directors and filmmakers that feel exactly the same way. I think I'm just mentally ill. I think there's genuinely something wrong with me because
You watch more than one film a day, is what it is.
the ironic thing is since becoming a filmmaker, I watch less films, and that's just sad. I watched 3 films a day when I was at uni, and now I struggle to watch one a week. I don't have the time, and that sucks because I'm having to watch my own stuff. Not this. But there's got to be something wrong with me because why do I do it? But this is something that I surround myself in when I bring in my documentary subjects. Is I like to surround myself with people who've got similar sort of afflictions, or people who are similarly sort of passionate. I like to make films about people who are passionate because it made me realise very recently I had a kind of a real light bulb moment. Made me realise I like making films about people that are passionate because I'm passionate about making films myself. And I've got to a point now where I've been making them so long where ultimately I'm kind of, it's quite selfish, I'm kind of making them for me now. So when I'm in a dark room and I'm watching something that's up on the screen, I'm watching someone else's film, when I'm there and I'm in that moment, I want to be a part of that moment, and by making films I'm contributing to the future of that. So I want to make films that I would watch myself, and I don't know how you guys feel about that.
I think that's definitely the sort of key thing you should have as a filmmaker. Is maybe it does work and you can make something for somebody else, so you can make something to respect. But with this kind of stuff, and I feel the kind of stuff I make, at least with the short films, if you're not making it for yourself, I don't think you're doing it for the right reasons. I think you should always be making stuff for yourself, and that's where the good content's going to come from.
And I think that's what we see sometimes with some of the submissions that we get. Sometimes filmmakers will make it for someone else, and you can kind of see that there's not much passion in it. Whereas the ones who are making it for themselves definitely do. They shine, I would say, more than people who maybe aren't as unique, for instance.
So does that mean there's going to be a change? Because at the moment, commercial film, a lot of it is absolutely crap. They're remaking stuff, or it's the edition of the same series. And there seems to be a real gap between you guys and creativity and the money people wanting a dead cert and forcing people into straitjackets of film types with, particular stories being redone and redone.
No, I don't think so. Sorry, Josh.
I mean, I think in some sense, commercially for Hollywood stuff, if we're talking Hollywood, I think it's actually getting worse because stuff like Star Wars is breaking records, and then stuff that's smaller and anything that isn't that big studio is not making any money. But I do think there is a platform for the content that isn't seen in that traditional.
People don't need the traditional models now.
Yeah.
People don't need to make stuff for TV now. I spoke earlier on making something for telly. That's a passion project I'm doing because it's the right vehicle for that. You can make something now for the web and have it be popular. There's this new generation of filmmakers and people now making a shed load of money from YouTube channels, just for, like makeup tutorials and stuff like that. Things that 10 years ago you might have considered, oh, what the heck is that person doing? You don't need the traditional models. You don't need to make stuff for TV or for cinema. You could, if you've got a camera now and you've got an idea, there's no excuse for you to not just get out there and film it, because there's going to be an audience for it to appeal to.
Which is what I never had. I finally got a camera that could record film, and I never had any intention of ever showing anything on a cinema screen or even on a screen this big. That's never been intention of mine. I watch stuff on my laptop, and that's how I just assume people consume things. That's what I make it for.
So we had another question halfway up. Sorry, mental blank, can't remember your name.
Me?
No.
Oh, it's me, it's Liam.
Liam, sorry. Long day.
I think actually I was just coming back to this idea of where on that sort of that big curve that everybody sort of wants to sit on in terms of production and consumption. Do you feel as though that the recognition of what you do is actually the value for you, and if that's the case, is that not quite a dangerous sort of starting point into the position where you're doing it for nothing, and therefore you're expecting people to pay very little for it and also be paid very little to do it? I'm just a little bit concerned that we're all very accepting of the fact that we're all sort of very enthusiastic enthusiasts, let's put it that way. But actually we're only actually taking our money from commercial practice. Whereas, so the question is, do you think that it's just the recognition because you're looking forward to the next sort of layer of success, i.e. the bigger production afterwards, or next film, or example of distribution, or do you think that it is actually a way forward to progress into a commercial opportunity for people?
Well, I can't really answer that because we get paid for what we do. We're one of the lucky ones, and we make no apologies for charging what we charge, because as we've heard, things take a lot more time than you expect, things take a lot more money than you expect, and I think once we explain that to clients, then and we make massive investments in gear, and I think one of the things I'm proudest of is that I've got, you know, we're one of the very few companies who operate in our sector, certainly in the local area, who pay a full salary to people to do what they do, and that's why when we put a job out, we get 300 applicants from all over the world, because it's so rare, because you live by, you know, piecemeal kind of jobs here and there. It's a very ethereal, freelancing industry where you're jumping around from place to place. So yeah, so one of the things I'm proudest of is the way we've structured the company, and that you have a salary, you have holiday pay and stuff, and yeah, so that's why we charge what we charge. But as I said, I think we're one of the exceptions, because although I have been remarkably poor when we first started, I've, you know, just carried on being a student for a few more years and living out cold beans and all that. Now we've got to the point where, yeah, we're lucky enough that people get to do the kind of work they do. They get to travel. I think in pursuing higher quality stuff like that, they get the professional kind of passionate fulfillment, because it would be soul destroying to do just lots of talking heads in offices all day long. And again, I've been there. That's what we had to do more of in the early days. But now, as I don't pick up a camera or do any editing these days, I haven't really filmed anything for about 3 years. Then yeah, I can allow everybody to pursue their own passions. And you know, we have a very open culture in the office about how the company looks and the type of work we should be looking for. And the thing I'm trying to do at the moment really is to get in a position where we can pick and choose who we want to work with, and there's got to be the right kind of budget so we can reach that level of creativity that we need it to for it to kind of sit pretty along everything else we're doing.
That's a fairly commercial practice. I mean, that you're not using that money then to produce the next thing, which will be more of a risk-based model, or because that's what's at the other end of this line.
We do that.
A very risk-based model here, which is then looking to get paid out on the other side.
Yeah, so now all of ours is just put into growing the company as a commercial, you know, functioning commercial entity, rather than putting it into any sort of passion projects or anything like that. I think we want to try and make the work the passion, rather than basically, oh, we've just got to roll our sleeves up and do some stuff we don't want to do, so we could do something we want to do after hours. I'd rather mould the work and the type of client base and the type of creativity you're allowed to do 9 to 5, so people wouldn't need to do that.
So the grassroots, for example, is there an opportunity for you to earn out of this?
Yes, yeah. So because we for a long time we still do videos for businesses and corporate work, but the majority of it is we do documentaries as well in the corporate world too. So that means
you've top loaded it with your own investment. Your own time.
Indeed, yeah. Because the stuff like grassroots, that's the stuff that I feel, not that I don't enjoy doing the corporate stuff, but the stuff that I really want to be doing is stuff like grassroots. I've always had the dream and the aspiration, making features and TV series, documentaries.
But to carry on that model, you're going to make this.
I'm doing the exact same thing with grassroots. I haven't waited for funding. I've been filming my next feature documentary for 3 months,
right.
And it's all been self-funded. It's all been I'll do a job here and I'll take a small portion of that and I'll put it towards some filming for this next one. I'll do a job there and I'll take that and I'll funnel it into this. So that basically what we'll then do, we'll repeat the model. We'll film as much as we can. We've already got 7th. So that we then get it out there to an audience base, because it's exactly the same with grassroots. We got involved and I realised there's going to be a feature of it, because there's this huge collective of cannabis consumers that will want to watch this film. The same with the next one. I'm making it because it's a film about passionate people that I want to be involved in, but it's also there's a baked in audience there of people that once they know about it, guaranteed they're going to want to watch it. Because as a filmmaker, the last thing you want to do is you want to get involved in something and you want 5 people to watch it. Of course you don't. So with Grassroots, we're really at an early stage. We're at the end of 4 years of production, but really it's one door closes, another opens, because now we're doing film festivals, and then once they come to a close, we'll be doing video on demand. People will be able to buy it online, it'll be available on television, Netflix, Amazon, and they all pay a premium fee. So because my overheads are low, we don't have any investors. Things like Kickstarter, we raise 20 grand, but it's not investment. It's all people put some money in and they get a reward out of it, so a t-shirt, a poster, or an associate producer credit or something like that, but they don't recoup any of the costs. The money sits in the film because they're passionate and they believe in the product and in us as a production company. So there's the potential for money to be made because our overheads are so low. And I'm using the same model for my next feature documentary. We'll be doing a Kickstarter campaign in February to fund the post-production money. So we're just using the exact same model because I don't know if by using this model, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to be a filmmaker. So I need to keep churning out stuff. I need to keep churning out products because at the end of the day, all I want to do is continue to make films.
Has anyone else got any questions or observations before we break for wine and brownies?
Are they hash browns?
Molly is in charge of the ingredients. Sorry. Right. Okay. Gentleman at the back.
Thank you. In the way that Wes Anderson, or and I'm sure you will know, Casey Neistat. Yeah. How important do you think it is to be? Maybe importance is the wrong word. I suppose I'll use that anyway. How important would you think it is to have your own personal style or instantly recognisable aesthetic?
I think with because I mean I watch sort of Casey Neistat stuff religiously, and he does have a really good style which people sort of really lock onto. And he's talked about this himself. Is this, as important as the style is, it's about the content of it. A lot of people take what he does and try to do the exact same thing, and that doesn't work because they're them, and he's Casey Neistat. So they can use the same editing tricks and they can use the same soundtrack, but it's his content that's made him who he is, not necessarily his style. And I think Wes Anderson, people know his style, but the same thing, it's the content as well. So it's the same thing of don't have style over substance. It's important to style this in something like film as well.
I think trying to have style is the worst way to have a style, because still talking about Casey Neistat, he doesn't do that directly. He just kind of, that's how he makes films. And the same way many of us might have a particular style that you might be able to pick out if you watch all our stuff together, but it's not because we're trying to do the same thing. We just have a workflow or a system or however we do it, and that gives us our own style. I think the worst way to do it is to try and be like, I'm going to do it like this person, which is good to learn, but then it's very easy to look at someone and be like, oh, they've copied Wes Anderson, or they're trying to be like Spielberg and stuff. And that's good to learn, but I think the best thing to do is to just do what you do, and then you'll get a style from that.
It comes about organically. You need to just make stuff and make stuff and make stuff. Make pieces of shit after pieces of shit. Keep making mistakes, because mistakes are really, really valuable.
I made a 15-minute long mistake.
Yeah. I didn't go to film school or anything like that. I taught myself how to make films, and I've made so many mistakes over the years. But if you then utilise those mistakes in moving forward, and think about how you can correct that in moving forward, then developing a style is going to come about organically.
Sorry, gentleman in the middle.
Hello, yeah, my name's Graham. I just, it's observations, I suppose, mostly, but just, I've not been living here that long, a few years now, but one of the things that really strikes me about Norwich that I think Norwich isn't aware of as a city, but I'm sure we all are in this room, is just that there is a creative community that's able, it's not quite maybe a critical mass that it's self-sustaining in all the sectors, but I think that's what attracts people to an area, is if they see a community that they can thrive within or they can feed off, and if there's enough cultural activity going on in an area, then that's attractive to creatives. I think that's one of the great things about Norwich that it's got going for it, is that creatives are attracted to the area because they can feed at the trough that they need to create these things. And just another observation about things that are different from other cities I've lived in, I suppose, is that it's maybe a lack on one part for Norwich, is that it doesn't anymore have a television production base of any mass. You know, cities like Glasgow or Bristol, even Edinburgh, have all sorts of other differences in terms of size and population and so on.
But that seems like a big miss to me. But another thing that I think some of those cities have, or made a commitment to a number of years ago, that transformed an active creative community into one that was recognised around the country, was that the local authorities had someone energetic and imaginative. May have been one or two people, but they put money into making that, broadening that awareness. And I don't know how accurate this impression is, but my impression is that of Norfolk in general, that's not happening. I was out at an old Air Force base up in the north of the county, where I think I can't remember which one it is now. Does anyone know the name of the Air Force base?
Scotto at Colshall, Colshall.
Yeah. And there seemed to be some energy going on there to kind of turn that into a movie production base, and I was out there working on something that was, I didn't know if it was going to be around for very long. It was an ongoing thing, but it felt very half-hearted compared to if time and money was being put into something like that in another city, then everyone knew it was going on, kind of thing. And so these I'm not sort of saying I'm not.
There's a film production thing going on Scotland.
When I met someone just by chance when I was roaming the site, who was from the county council, and I understood that they had a little office there, and they were helping facilitate production companies that came in there, and it was an American production company that was in there, but they were just making kind of cables.
So there was a company coming from America to here to
it was just an American.
But the county council were doing the sort of liaison.
They were the liaison, and they were. I think they were. Did the county council actually own the site?
There's a Scottish Documentary Institute in Edinburgh which has links with the university, which I imagine might be related to what you're talking about.
Not in North Norfolk.
No, in Scotland.
Oh, sorry, no, you're talking about Scotto is the name of the business park in RO. Sorry, my mistake. Yeah, that's okay.
And so that seems a missing part of the puzzle is something that puts a frame around it. It's not necessarily seek money into productions or anything, but just something that
thank you for that, because that's something I'll raise with John last. I think we need to talk to the media, his media group thing. I'll take that flyer.
I think that's a fair point, because I'm just thinking, I'm not aware of anyone at Norfolk County Council who would facilitate with that stuff. But I'm just thinking in terms of, say, like Norwich City Council, they advertise that you can do, say, filming locations, but there's no one kind of driving that force forward, and I think that's an area where we're missing. We need someone to really kind of pioneer and be someone, maybe within the local authority, who can have links to production companies or to other areas within the country to continue to promote the city.
And it wouldn't surprise me if there is someone in Norwich City Council doing a similar job to someone in Norfolk County Council, and they rarely talk. So
it's definitely a problem, that lack of a unitary.
Which I know the left is trying to take over, sort of do something about. Folks, it's been really great. Thank you very much for your time. That's gone on far longer than I anticipated. We've got to be out of here by 9. So you have about 45 minutes to enjoy cake and wine. Before you go though, I'm not a movie maker, but I have had the opportunity recently to start doing a little bit of work with Mustard TV. So I'm going to blow my own trumpet here. They asked me to help make a series of 6 short films, which are currently in filming. And the title or the theme is Dynamic East, and the idea behind it was actually to shape this idea that we're some sort of sleepy backwater and pick out some of the more energetic tech companies and agri-tech and science-based companies in the county. I'm hoping it should start screening on Mustard TV Wednesday evenings, starting at the end of this month and for 6 weeks, so through October. I will share it on the Twitter page for Hot Sauce, and any comments will be gratefully received, even if they are critical. But anyway, thank you very much for coming on. I hope you enjoy yourself. Do tweet about the stuff you've heard. Do share it on social media, whichever platform you're on, please, because if we all do a little bit, it raises that collective voice, and that can help get us out from under the bushel, I think. Thank you very much to our panelists. Thank you very much to Carl for being tech man and who organises everything behind the scenes, including the wine outside. So grab your glasses, please.